Am I the a-hole for catfishing my underage sister on Tinder and humiliating her in order to teach her a lesson? Please consider subscribing if you enjoy the video. Last week, I was using my sister Ashley's phone because mine was dead and I needed to call a friend to confirm plans. Dialing my friend's number, I saw a Tinder notification of some dude messaging her. Immediately, I asked why she's on Tinder. She's 17. And she grabbed her phone back and said none of your business. I decided that I wanted to have a little fun with this. I wanted to give her the benefit of the doubt. Maybe she's just swiping for fun. So I didn't want to go straight to ratting her to our parents. To test if she was just using for fun, I decided I was going to make a Tinder profile of someone else and message her and see if she responds. I asked a good friend from back in college, who happens to be a male model, Kevin, if he'd mind if I used his pictures and explained the situation. He thought it would be hilarious and told me to go for it. I created the account, set my age to 22, set my swipe radius to a mile, and quickly found my sister's account. Her age was set to 19. Lie. She's still in high school, so I was definitely more suspicious of her now. I super liked and less than an hour later, she matched and messaged me. I decided to set up a date to a fancy restaurant downtown for Sunday afternoon and told her we could head to my place afterwards. She was completely receptive and said she'd meet me there. She told our parents she was hanging out with one of her track friends and spending the night at her place. After she left, I told our parents everything and showed them all of the messages. They were pissed, and I suggested we all go to the restaurant. My dad and I just went instead and saw her sitting at a table alone all dolled up waiting for Jim. My dad went up to her and said Jim's not coming and she screamed and asked what we were doing there. I told her that there was no Jim and that it was freaking stupid of her to be trying to meet grown men on Tinder at her age. My dad harped onto that and lectured her on lying and meeting strange men on the internet, and being so willing to go back to a stranger's place. We were a bit loud so people were starting to look at us and my sister eventually bursted into tears and ran out. I told my friends in a group chat the situation and they all agreed it was hysterical, except two of my female friends who said I was a freaking dong and cruel to her. My other friends defended me and said she needed to be taught a lesson. Wondering who's right and if I went too far? You're the a-hole. You played a cruel ass trick on your sister, because it would be freaking hilarious. I would have had difficulty, but ultimately probably came down on your side of you just told your parents when you first saw it. But you devised an elaborate trap first. No, AOLA move. However, I think that it's clear that him getting his sister to meet this fake person really drove the point of how dangerous her behavior is home. He proved that his sister could be lured by any random person posing to be someone else. If he had just told his parents what she was doing, everything would be speculation of what could happen and would not reveal the danger of her actions anywhere near as clearly. She's 17 and I guarantee you she knows perfectly well what could happen. It's hardly OP's place to teach her a lesson, particularly when he seems far more interested in laughing at her humiliation than actually making a point about keeping herself safe. Teenagers downplay risks like that. It's only thing to objectively tell her you don't know who you're actually meeting. It's another to show her it's this easy for a guy to get you alone and that's a huge risk. But yeah, he definitely doesn't seem like her safety is actually his number one priority. He's an AOLA for sure. I agree. They do downplay risks like that, but she's about to be an adult who's entitled to make her own choices and she's going to have to learn how to navigate these situations. At least she met up with him in a crowded, public place. If he was someone other than OP and still a catfish, there would have been opportunities for her to get out of there. She's about to be an adult, but, depending on the state, if she went and had sex with a grown man, she is forcing him to commit statutory rape, which is a felony and has serious consequences. On top of that, if the person is charged, there have been plenty of cases where the defense even showed that the underage person had a fake ID and that still wasn't enough to get charges dropped. It doesn't matter if she's almost an adult. She's not. The execution was a bit over the top, but the underlying lesson was an important one. She ignored the age requirement and was willing to go back to a stranger's place. But what stopped you guys from telling her to come home and then giving her a lecture? I mean, She was going to meet him at a restaurant in public first. Who's to say she really would have gone to his house? She told our parents she was hanging out with one of her track friends and spending the night at her place. She laid the groundwork for it. It's concerning, but it's not that out there. I knew people from other countries that were in my year at university who were 17, for example. I presume they had one night stands in that time. In some states she is under the age of consent, so she could be setting this guy up to commit a felony. Also really itty to lie to someone you plan on being intimate with. In 37 states she's over the age of consent. In about 4 more, Romeo and Juliet laws would apply. In 8 others, being lied to about age forms a defense. There is literally only one state in the union where the guy could legit get in trouble. What she's doing is extremely dangerous, for obvious reasons. Unfortunately, what you did is more than likely just going to push her further away. She will probably just try harder to hide things. Something else is likely going on in her life that's encouraging her to seek attention from older men. Invading her privacy, lying to her, and humiliating her is going to make her less likely to open up to family about her life and make it harder for you and your parents to support her. At 17 is unlikely she's really going to learn anything from embarrassment or punishments from parents. She's either going to have to learn things the hard way, or she's going to have to learn them by maturing. Legal age of majority or not, she's viewing herself as an adult able to make her own decisions, so any interference from family will be unwelcome and resented. And considering that she will be turning 18 soon, there will be very little your family can do to keep her from dangerous situations if she wants to put herself in them. This is why the whole thing was such a bad idea on OP's part. I sure as hell wouldn't trust anyone if they did that to me now, even less if I was a 17-year-old girl. There's very little chance that she's going to rely on OP or the parents anymore, which is going to be disastrous when things really go wrong and it isn't just a prank. Exactly this. No way in hell would I feel comfortable going to my parents, sibling for anything after this. There is a way to express concern and teach a lesson without all this extra it. She is likely going to be using Tinder even more now, to get out of the house and away from them, and what makes them think that if something does go wrong in that situation she would ever reach out to them for help? 17 is such an impressionable age, especially in today's society with the pressures of social media and appearance. She won't want to risk being embarrassed again.